It may be they have a death wish. You know, that's been the problems with our Jewish friends for centuries.
Damn.
Well, they've always been, through the Bible at least, God's timepiece, and He has judged them from generation to generation, and yet used them, and they've kept their identity.
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan. There are two different kinds. And those people, in the latter days, it's called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people. And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days could be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan.
This is crazy. I have never heard this before. I did not know this was a part of the Nixon tapes. This is crazy. The fact that he's talking about this in 1971, this is post-World War II. You got to remember, this is like when Jews have gone through the Holocaust at this point. I mean, this is a very sensitive time to be talking about Jews. And the way Richard Nixon is talking about Jews in 1971 here with Billy Graham it's crazy.
In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. Oh, they're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also they do something else. They're not smart.
And you see, of course, Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and the media. They had the whole thing, you see, and he went about it wrong.
This is nuts. Wow. This is blowing my mind. Maybe this is why Richard Nixon was taken out effectively after 2 years. But this is where people start to get conspiratorial about this thing. Because effectively what happened with Richard Nixon, he was taken out by the United States government. With these microphones being planted in the Oval Office and these conversations being recorded, he was essentially set up. Believe it or not, I would definitely imagine that certain people heard him talking like this and were very upset. Powerful people in powerful positions that have influence in the U.S. government, if you know what I mean.
But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I can't ever say it, but I believe it.
Nobody's ever elected the second time. We might be able to do something. Whether we like it or not, everybody thinks of you as conservative, and then when you lean a little bit in that direction toward the sociological thing is the big thing.
It's all right.
What's that?
It's all right to lean in that direction.
You have to, or the whole thing will be closed to you. You know, I mean, I don't care how conservative. I'm sure I'm more conservative than you are. At least you told me that one time, and I think that's true. But I have to lean a little bit. You know, I go and I keep friends with Mr. Rosenthal at the New York Times and people of that sort, you know. And not all the Jews, but a lot of the Jews are great friends of mine. They swarm around me and they're friendly to me because they know that I'm friendly to Israel. But they don't know how I really feel about what they're doing to this country.
That's unbelievable. I mean, this is just a fascinating conversation between the president here and Billy Graham. I mean, this is what they're talking about right now with the Israeli influence that currently presides in American politics today. This is what Billy Graham was clearly warning Richard Nixon about before Nixon was taken out. And, people develop a lot of theories as to why Nixon was effectively taken out.
I have no power, no way to handle them. But I would stand up if under proper circumstances.
The Jews have managed close by. There's just this strange malignancy now that seems to creep among them. The radicalism. I can imagine how the fact that Ellsberg's in this must really tear all like handed pieces or garment. Just like the Rosenbergs and all that. That just has to go. You feel horrible about it.
Couldn't be a guy by the name of Smith.
There ain't none. It would have been a Rosenstein that changed his name.
It is right. It's always an Ellsberg or everything.
Everyone's a Jew. Ellsberg, Rosenberg.
Jesus.
But there are bad. This was not a Jew. So that proves something. Very interesting thing. So few of those who engage in espionage are Negroes. Very lucky out there.
This is nuts that the former president was talking like this in 1971. This blows my mind. No presidents talk like this today. Allegedly. Maybe behind the scenes. Is Trump talking like this? No way. Maybe. I don't know. No way. No. But this is just crazy to hear him talk like this. Reminder, by the way, this guy was the most popular president of all time. Has received the most amount of popular votes ever in American history. Like, this is crazy.
And as a matter of fact, very few of them become communists. If they do, they're like they get into the Angela Davis. They're more of the activist type. And they throw bombs and this and that. But the Negroes, have you ever noticed?
Jeez.
The grand few Negro spies.
They're not intellectual enough. Not smart enough.
Not
smart enough to be spies.
The Jews are born spies. You know some of them are just in it, up to their necks.
Okay, the basic deviousness.
A lot of people love Nixon now because he said that. No. Not me. Just, a lot of people. That's crazy. They can't be spies because they're not smart enough. That's a crazy ass statement, dude. It shows that, probably after all this came out, a lot of people hated him for what he had to say. He's probably hated by Jews, probably hated by a lot of black people once they heard these tapes come out. This shows why the FBI conspired against President Nixon, because it is highly probable that the FBI was compromised back then, where there was some sort of Mossad or Israeli influence in the government. Even back then, that's what they're talking about right here, right now. The tone from Richard Nixon's voice, okay, when he's talking about these things is that, yeah, they're very influential and the Israelis are very powerful people. And he's aware of it. Crazy to hear him say it so bluntly. I mean, he's being recorded without his knowledge.
Well, also an arrogance. Because that's what makes us. He puts himself above the law. Other than the spies with the pay, I'm talking about the spies that do it because of ideals.
Wow.
Do you ever hear the Tucker Carlson Nixon story?
No.
Okay. So Tucker Carlson came on my podcast and he's like, do you know that Nixon was the most popular president in history? Like when he won by the biggest landslide ever, right? And Nixon had a vice president, Spiro Agnew. Spiro Agnew gets brought up on corruption charges. So Spiro Agnew has to resign. Then they bring in Gerald Ford, who was a complete moron.
Yeah, he was. He was a total idiot. He actually served on the Warren Commission, which is crazy.
But the reason why they brought in Gerald Ford, who also, by the way, was on the Warren Commission report.
Yeah.
They bring in Gerald Ford to replace him if anything happens, right? So it's the vice president. Then they immediately hit him with Watergate. So Nixon did not coordinate Watergate. Watergate was coordinated by the FBI. It was all FBI agents that did it, and then they brought it to him, and what he was guilty of was saying, cover it up. So they were talking about covering up. He agreed to that, and that's what they got him on. They set him up. Bob Woodward was an intelligence agent.
Naval spy ring.
Yes, and his very first job as a reporter is Watergate. Now, if you know anything about the hierarchical structure of any kind of newsroom, there's not a fucking chance in hell some rookie reporter is going to get the big story that's going to take down the fucking president. Not a chance. And so Nixon apparently had been saying, I know who killed JFK and I know why they did it.
Damn. If that's true, that is totally believable, though. If Richard Nixon actually said that, now he is a threat. He is a threat to the establishment. He's a threat to the FBI. And now he is a target for them, that he can't be controlled. He is a guy that needs to be effectively taken out. Now, we can't just assassinate this guy. We can't assassinate Richard Nixon. Talking about it from the view of the FBI or the CIA. So how do we get rid of this guy? How do we eliminate him? Well, we eliminate him with information on what he says. And they understood from these tapes and how he talked behind closed doors that if they got enough information on Richard Nixon and they presented all this information to him, putting him in a tough, difficult position, they were counting on the fact that he was going to fold and make the wrong decision, which he inevitably did, which got his ass canned.
So, yes, this is... And, okay, do you know who Deep Throat was? Who was basically Bob Woodward's source?
I forget.
Mark Felt, who is the deputy director of the FBI.
Right, exactly.
And then you have G. Gordon Liddy probably pulling off Watergate.
Yes.
Jeff Shepard, who went on Tucker Carlson's show, expounds on all of this stuff. But here's what's crazy is I think Watergate connects with the JFK assassination per what you just said, because you know who was running? So McGovern was running against Nixon, and Nixon was winning by a huge margin. He was extremely popular. So it's like, why would he break into the DNC? He was definitely paranoid. What was he paranoid about? The longtime, I guess, campaign manager for the DNC and for McGovern was a guy named Larry O'Brien. They bugged Larry O'Brien's phone. Larry O'Brien was Howard Hughes's longtime general counsel. Howard Hughes was the original guy to set up the S-Force, which ended up taking out JFK.
Holy shit, Howard Hughes was involved on that? I didn't know that.
Nixon was so paranoid that it would get pegged on him that he took out his greatest political opponent because he was like, oh, it's a triple bank shot, but they're going to think it was definitely me. He was paranoid that he broke into the DNC.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It's insane.
It's so
it's
great.
so insane. It's such a crazy story.
Wow. But yeah, man, there you go. Like, I would have never thought of Richard Nixon to be a guy like that, to say those types of things. But a lot of what he said, talking about Israeli influence in America, is proving true today. Now we're in an Iranian war that we don't even want to be involved in. Look at the Jeffrey Epstein case, where literally 0 people have been prosecuted or federally indicted, okay, here in the United States of America. And we know that that was an Israeli operation where Jeffrey Epstein was most likely a Mossad agent. What's scary about this entire thing is that it shows how long this type of stuff has been going on behind the scenes. And I think a lot of people feel that all of this started to take a turn for the worse after the assassination of JFK, with our own government obviously being involved in it, and the fact that till this day, there are 10,000 more JFK files that have not been released yet. And allegedly, the reason why is because it points to the Israelis. Those 10,000 pages of documents talks about the CIA in cahoots with the Mossad, which would not sit well with the American people today. So it's crazy shit, man. That's a crazy story.